What's good, everybody? It's Romano and Ryan here. Saik.
Obviously
Today,
not.
today, me and Colleen are hijacking the PrefeQ Realty podcast. The guys are not around, and we just decided to pop in and film a quick episode. Hopefully, they do post it. So, Colleen, what's up?
Not much. I'm enjoying my day. It's beautiful. It's sunny outside, but it's cold, so it's kind of annoying. Hi,
Yep.
everyone. What's up with you? How was your day?
Like I said, it was cold,
Yep.
but it was kind of slow day
Yeah,
because when it's cold, we don't want to do much showings and stuff like that when it's
that's
cold.
true. I mean, we don't want to, but we do.
Yeah, we don't want to because it's cold, but yeah.
It's always the worst. My eyes water when it's really windy. So, okay, I have a story. But anyways, my eyes water when it's really windy. So when I'm doing showings, it always looks like I'm coming out the car crying. And one time I had a client, this was a couple years ago. He's like, "Oh no, sweetheart, you're crying." And he literally wiped the tear off my face and I felt so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. It was really awkward. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting real estate stories. Yep.
I think that's something you should not tell again. You should
Why?
probably keep that to yourself.
It's an interesting. It happened. He wiped the tear off my face. He thought he was so concerned.
How does the wind?
And I was just like, I'm just cold.
Yeah, you're cold, but doesn't make. I still don't get it. How does
My eyes are sensitive. I have very sensitive eyes. I also wear contact lenses, so I feel like sometimes maybe if it's dry outside, my eyes start to water. But like if you're ever outside with me in the cold, you will see like I will be tearing up like instantly. As soon as that wind blows, my eyes are tearing up.
Oh.
It doesn't just happen to me. I'm sure there's a lot of other people, viewers. If your eyes tear up in a cold, leave a comment, please.
Don't leave a comment. Keep that story to yourself.
Actually, we would like engagement. And it's not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. What's embarrassing about eyes watering?
It's not embarrassing. I'm just being in a
Clearly,
jokey mood today.
Clearly. Anyway, so for today's topic, I was thinking we'll talk about what success means to us. Success in real estate, success in life. I admire you, Alex, because you're very young. Do you mind telling the viewers how old you are?
I'm 22 years old.
He's a baby, 22. And you're relatively new to the country. You're making waves, right? So you're venturing into your career in real estate. You're very serious about it, very, very focused. So if you could define what your image of success looks like, what does that look like for you?
Well, success basically for everybody means different things. For some people, it means them being able to buy a yacht. For some
Yeah.
people, it just means being able not to work.
Yeah.
But for me, I think success just means just the ability to not have to work or depend on a job to make money, and the ability to do what I want, when I want, and who I want it with.
I love that.
And the ability to also just take care of my family and the people that I care about. That's what I view as
Yeah.
success, because most people be like, oh, they want to get rich, but like, what does being rich means to you? Or like, some people they just showed up in here. They want to be a millionaire. Okay, well, what is a millionaire?
Right.
Or
And how
they,
do
they
you
want to
get
be
there?
they want to be free. A lot of people are like, oh, they want to be free from a job. Okay, how much does it take to make you free? Or what does it mean? What does it okay? What is motivating you to be free? Why do you want to be free? A lot of people don't know these things. That's why a lot of people are just stuck going with the flow. They don't know what they want and they don't know how they plan on getting there.
That's true.
But that's why I said for me, I just want to be able to go where I want, when I want, and who I want it with. So it doesn't even mean I have to make tens of billions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
I just need to be able to so that I don't need to work, or I don't need to say, okay, I need to turn up to work here today in order to live. I could wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I don't want to go to work. Just stay
So-
home and chill.
That's my vision of success too. Like, I feel like when I look at you and Romano, like I feel like, man, I got a late start because you guys are so young and you're doing so well. But I agree. Like I want to be able to enjoy my life. Like money is not my motivation. Obviously we need money to live and to support ourselves, but I'm not very materialistic. So like I don't think about like getting a yacht or getting a fancy car. I don't think about those things. I think about time, like you said. Like I want to be able to go on vacation if I need to, or just have a day where I'm at home and if I just need to just chill for the day and not have to worry about, oh dang, like I ain't clocking any hours, the paycheck's gonna be short.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have that worry. Like so for me, it's about having time, being able to spend with your loved ones, and having a certain measure of security. In this world, nothing truly is secure, but if you can have a certain measure because you set yourself up for success when you were young, you can kind of relax a little bit.
But yeah, see that's why I'm trying to start very young, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be like most people, okay, we were brought up in the Caribbean, where all we were taught is, okay, you go to school and then you get a job and you
Yeah.
work until you're like 50.
Yeah.
Nobody ever mentioned stuff like, oh, retirement. Like,
Yeah.
what is retirement? We don't know about retirement. All we
Right,
know
it's
is
just
that
his work.
we go to work, we
come
work for a
home.
paycheck, we come home, and we work until we die.
That's it.
You mentioned vacation to somebody, he's like, huh? We take
What's
a
a-
vacation once every 5 years. And where do we go? The U.S., the Trinidad. That's all we do because that's all we know. But then, as like I said, I mean, I'm more of the younger generation,
Yeah.
right? No, didn't mean to call you old there.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not that much older than you. Hold on. Okay, I'm 30. What's that math? 22 minus 30.
It's 8.
That's not that bad. I'm 8 years older than you. I know that sounds so you're like you're a dinosaur.
Like, Colleen, you should have like 4 kids by now. I'm kidding.
Well, I should
I'm
have
kidding,
4.
I'm
You're
kidding,
right though.
I'm kidding.
You're absolutely right. I should have 4 kids by now.
But yeah, so,
That's a different podcast.
yep. Not this one. Not the PrefeQ Realty.
We could have it on PrefeQ Realty, but that's
Romano might kill us.
That's a different conversation. Why Miss Grimes does not have 4 children by now?
Maybe
Time is running out.
Maybe that's the next topic for the next podcast.
Yeah, for the next
with
podcast.
Romano.
With Romano?
Yeah.
Romano wants kids?
I don't know. I mean, I
don't know.
hope he does. I mean, he's mean, but he's not that mean.
Romano's not mean. I don't feel like Romano has a mean. He's a little bit of a what's a word for it that's not cursing?
Onions. He has layers.
I love that. He's like an onion. He has layers.
I stole that from Shrek, by the way.
You know, somebody told me that one time, and I thought that like they came up with it. And then I was watching Shrek, and I was like, they conned me.
Onions, yeah.
They conned me. That was literally in Shrek, but I thought that was like the smartest analogy.
No.
He was like, people are like onions. They're
They
layers.
have
I was like, oh
layers.
my God,
Give
you're
him
so
Shrek.
smart. But he literally stole it from Shrek.
But yeah, as I was saying, the reason why I'm starting so young is because, I don't know, I've always had that drive to do good, to be a somebody.
Yeah.
And there's one thing, I always had the drive to make it young so that, I don't know, like, I can be like, young on the beach,
And
chilling,
have fun.
and not
Enjoy your
old,
life.
So growing up in the younger times, I would say, now the internet is so much accessible around the world. So now all these YouTubers and everybody online, and these will kind of basically drive me
Yeah.
to learn about stuff because I'm seeing people online who's like 25, 26, they're already millionaires. I'm like, how would you do it? I mean, if one person could do it, I'm sure somebody else could do it.
Absolutely. I will say that I think the difference between like your age group and Romano's age group from mine, even though the gap is not that big, you guys grew up in a time, or you guys grew up closer to the time where like social media and everything was like very popping. So like when you were in high school, like influencers were big. When I was in high school, that really wasn't a thing. Like we had YouTube stars, but it was like silly videos. Like I don't know if you know who Jenna Marbles is. Nope. See, yeah. But that was, if you look her up, like that was my generation. It was when things were just budding and starting out. So at that point in time, I don't think the thought when I was 18 or 17 of like creating money or income just off of your own creativity ever occurred to me. I just didn't think it was an option. And now I'm looking back and I'm like, dang, like I could have been a freaking influencer because let me tell you, because when I was in high school, I wasn't popular or anything like that, but I was kind of weird. I still am a little weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You did it though. It's fine.
Why is the camera guy nodding his head like he knows me or something? Excuse me?
I think you both agree you're
I
kind
am
of
a little odd at times.
little. It's an
And
understatement.
I don't care. I can be odd. And I would come up with like these like little like random skits. This is so embarrassing. Oh my God. I don't even think I should share this. I'm not going to share this because it's so embarrassing. But like I would do things that could definitely like be like
Social media.
Social media 100%.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think that's just a difference in our generation. Like you guys can see it as more of a possibility. And when I was growing up, it was very streamlined. Okay, you graduate high school, you go to
school.
college, you get a job.
Yep. And
That was it.
And that's the beautiful thing about today's society.
Yeah.
Kids who are 14 and 15 years old are being exposed to these.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody talk about social media being a bad thing.
Yeah.
But this is a good thing about it because they're showing kids or younger folks, okay, this is how you can go about being successful. Because I mean, I'm only 22 now, but I've started looking into stuff that can help me get to where I want way before I even
Absolutely.
turn 20,
Absolutely. So what is your like, do you have like a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan?
Well, I do. I mean, I'm always a forward thinker. I'm always thinking ahead.
Yep.
And for example, in terms of my real estate, well, in 2 years, hopefully I can. But this is the plan, providing that everything goes smoothly.
Yep.
Which of course it won't.
It will.
Yeah.
I mean, it might
Yeah, it
not be.
won't.
It will be easy. It won't be easy, but you'll get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because
You'll
what
get
is
there.
one thing I learned? Nothing good is comes easy, right?
True.
So I'm expecting it to be bumps. I'm expecting there to be headaches along the way. Like
Absolutely.
some days you want to quit real estate, and
Oh,
then
yeah, I
day,
wanna quit
real
almost
estate
every
is
day.
great. So
You guys get to see my bipolarness all the time.
so yeah, I do have a 3 year plan. The 3 year plan that I spoke to Fabian, our broker, with this about this, by the way, is that I see us. I mean, I don't know if it's in a stretch, but it's just my imagination.
Okay.
I see us becoming a brokerage with multiple offices,
Agreed. Yeah.
right? Not just within the U.S., but also international.
Love that. Yeah.
We're both from the Caribbean. I mean, you're first generation.
Whatever.
Right?
Always try. Whatever.
She's not Guyanese, guys. Just
Hater.
saying.
Hater. We'll talk about that
I'm
at
the son
another
of the
podcast.
soil.
Whatever. Anyways,
But
continue.
yeah, so that's the dream. I mean, I hope to get my brokerage license
Yep.
so that I can go into it, be an own broker. And I spoke to Fabian about this, maybe someday reach to a point where we can partner, maybe open up multiple offices, like, Century 21 and all
Yep.
these big companies have
Yep.
multiple offices. They have multiple teams, as we
Yes.
call them.
Yes.
That's the goal. That's the 3 to 5 year goal right there. But the shorter goal right now was to get myself situated, get to a point where I don't need to, like, be on the grind like how I am on the grind
Yeah.
right now. Be comfortable before I take that next step.
I agree. That's what I'm trying to do too. I was going to ask you something and the thought left me. Oh, here it is. Why do you feel like some people who have the potential and have the ability never reach their goals or never get to what their desired success is?
It all comes down to one thing, right? And it's called discipline.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. Because, I mean, you can have the drive, you can have motivation, you can have everything. But if you're not disciplined in your action or you're consistent,
Yep.
right, you won't be able to get exactly what you want. I'm not sure if you see, this is probably off topic, right?
Okay.
But have you heard of Ashton Hall?
No.
Did
Who
you
is
see,
that?
Did you see this? He's a famous fitness guru, whatever, right? And he does this influencer routine where he does this routine
Oh,
where
I've
he
been
gets up
seeing
at
people
5.
like
They're
do
mocking him,
spoofs
right?
of it, but I've never seen his
They're
actual video.
Most of the videos that I've seen, they're mocking him. Right?
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
I kind of found it funny because they're trying to make up shit about this guy, right?
Yeah.
The time they're gonna take to sit down and make shit up about this guy, if they go and focus on themselves, they can
could be
achieve
doing it
half of what
too.
the guys
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
They don't get it. Yeah, he gets up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I get up at 5 every day, whether it's Saturday, right? I don't care. But the way I look at it, the earlier I wake up, the more time I have in the day to do stuff.
True.
If I want to sit and sleep until 12 a.m., 12 p.m., what am I doing
Yeah.
in the entire day? So see everybody mocking him like, oh, this guy can't be real, the guy's a fraud. But my opinion is, the guy is showing up every day. He's consistent every single day. He grew from 5 million subscriber up to today. I saw it was like 12 million subscribers.
Dang.
So that just goes to show if you want to achieve anything, you just got to be disciplined at it. You got to be consistent at it.
I agree with you.
You would know what our real estate business, right?
Yeah.
If we don't show up every day, if we don't put in the work every day, how are we going to be comfortable? How are we going to get an
nowhere.
income?
And I also feel like yes, discipline is a huge part of it because and consistency, like you said, like you have to put forth the effort even when you don't have the motivation to do it
Yeah.
anymore, because motivation is fleeting. Like some days you wake up and you're so inspired, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get this, and then I don't know, anything can happen. Your coffee can taste bad and it can ruin your day, right? So you can't go off of motivation. You do have to go off of discipline.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's discipline coupled with your mindset. Oh no, my phone just dropped. That's okay. With mindset, because I think that people who don't see opportunities and don't think
You want to say persons
positive
who have
thoughts,
a limited
who
mindset.
have a limited mindset. So people who have a very limited mindset, even if they're being disciplined and they're putting in the work, it's never going to feel like they're going to get successful because they're limiting themselves to a small thing.
Yep.
And then also, I do feel like if you have a negative mindset all the time, a negative mindset in turn limits you.
Yeah. What is
And you can't be open to opportunities and positivity. So you have to try to stay positive as hard as it may be, because in the real estate business it can be very discouraging.
Yeah, I mean,
So discouraging in your first year especially.
yeah, it's like right now, but I may be sounding like this, oh, financial, this guru people that this guru be preaching online. Oh, you
Yeah.
need to be consistent, you need to be disciplined, but that's just the facts.
Yeah, it's
You
life.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of distraction. I'm not gonna say even I fell prey to the distraction sometimes. Some days just get up. Oh, instead of you go to your work, it's, oh, let me just watch some TV or all that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to get up at 5 to be successful. I'm just saying you just need to show up every day, even the
Yeah.
days when you don't want to do it, because that's when you get the results.
Yeah,
You know.
and you got to show up for yourself. I was thinking this morning, I was like, I want to look back 20 years from now and say, you know what? Thank you, 30-year-old Colleen, for doing XYZ because you set yourself up for this. Like, I don't want to be 50 and thinking,
Still
like,
gotta work.
dang, like, yeah, like, I don't want to be scrambling and scrambling and trying to figure it out. Like, for me, that that doesn't work. Obviously, life, anything can happen in life, you know, time and unforeseen occurrence, things happen. But as much as I can control, I would like to,
It's
and
like
I'm going to.
when me and Fabian had this conversation too, right? I actually went to a few other brokerage before to do interviews
Yeah,
before I came here. I did
trader.
interviews
Just kidding.
before, right? And when one of them heard that I want to be my own broker, he started laughing. He was like, "Do you want that stress?"
But
I
he's a
mean,
broker,
but I'm like,
or she, whoever
yeah,
it was.
yeah, he's a he. I'm like, but you're a broker. I'm
Or
like, he's
they,
trying to
sorry.
keep my mindset limited, right? Because
Yep.
that means I always work for him. I always
Uh-huh.
bring income into his pocket. But I got goals and dreams too. I don't want to
Absolutely.
be grinding out here all the day. If I get my own
Right.
brokerage, when I get my own brokerage, right? I can branch out to so many different things. I don't even have. I
Absolutely.
can be like a managing broker and just have my team working. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
And that's not to say it won't be difficult, but that doesn't mean
Exactly.
you can't do
Do
it.
it.
You can
Exactly
do
my
it.
point. But that's me and Fabian had this conversation too, because he was like, he didn't realize that I'm now starting on thinking that way, and there's agents that's been in the business for 30 years and haven't even thought about getting a
Yep.
broker license,
Yep.
because they're not thinking long term. They're just thinking,
Right.
okay, make the money now and go on a vacation
Yep.
and buy the
And
fancy
that's
cars
it.
and chill, and that's it.
Right. And you know, and that's okay if that's what they
Their
want for
one,
their
yeah,
life. That's
that's fine.
fine. Everybody has their own goals and their own vision. But like you know yourself and you know what you want.
Yep.
That's good. I'm hungry. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, camera.
Kind of always hungry though.
Am I always hungry?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always hungry.
I'm not always. I mean, yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Now we're talking in success, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to get to intrude or get too private or whatever.
Oh gosh, what are you gonna ask me?
No, I'm just asking. Okay, we've been.
I'm scared. It was
We're
better when
talking
you were
about
asking me the
success
question. When I was asking you the question.
and stuff like that, right? What do you think, or what is your plans? I don't want to get in. You don't have to
Yeah.
get into detail, but like just have a snippet of how you think you're gonna get to where you
Okay, so my plans. I do want to become a real estate investor. Transparent moment. I am the only one in this company who has not invested yet. So sad, but I'm on my way to get there. I do see myself as a landlord, and you were talking about international real estate.
Yep.
So funny. Literally 3 years ago, from December, I had wrote down that like I want to start like getting an Airbnb and doing that business in Guyana. When I went to Guyana in December and January, I was talking to my aunts and I was like, okay, here, how can we buy property or buy land here to build? So that's already starting to bud a little bit, just, you know, developing Airbnb or short-term rentals in Guyana. Because the problem is with Guyana, the people who only visit there are people who have family there or like the little college students who want to go visit the interior, right?
Yep.
When you look to go find a place to stay, if your family does not have suitable conditions for you to stay, the Airbnb market sucks. There's nowhere to stay. You do have
Apart from the 5-star hotels that are pretty expensive.
exactly apart from the hotels. So it's compared to other countries like Jamaica, you could find an Airbnb like that, right? Puerto Rico, you can find an Airbnb easily. The market for short-term rentals in Guyana is not there. So that is a vision for myself. Like I want to delve into the international real estate and start like a short-term rental business right there in Guyana. Yeah. I have family still there. My cousin, Kelvin, shout out to Kelvin. He is very good with like technology and managing things. So he could like, if he's open to it, be my little property manager when I'm not there, you know? So that is my vision. I'd love that for myself. I do like, when my mom was doing the Airbnb, I loved doing that with her, and I want to continue to do it.
Oh, that's nice. I
Yeah.
mean, short-term real estate. I heard I'm been seeing all these videos online. Everybody's talking that's the way to go. You
Yeah,
know?
I think it's better to do it international than here, especially in Connecticut where we're located. It's kind of tough because
Yeah, it's not like
who's really coming
coming
to
to Connecticut.
Connecticut,
Yeah,
especially in the Hartford
in
County
Hartford.
area?
Yeah, nobody's really coming
I
here.
think you can get away with it in
This
like the beachy parts,
like
Mystic and all
Mystic
that.
area. That's where you're basically gonna get a lot of
Exactly.
traffic.
But over
But
here
only in
it's
the
tough.
summer. Only in the
Only in
summer.
the
Who
summer,
goes
like
to
you
the
said.
beach like right now when it's 30 degrees outside?
Nobody. So people, when we were doing the Airbnb, we found that like we were getting a lot of people in, a lot, and we never had to come out of pocket for the mortgage. But the people that were coming were people who had family here. We had a family that had their kid out in Trinity. There was an emergency funeral. So it was just like random things, but it was never people for vacation. So this is not like a vacation spot, obviously. It's
Obviously, yeah, of
more
course.
like we have something to do and we need to be close by to something.
Because who wanna come to downtown? I mean, to Hartford for vacation? There's not much
There's
going on here
nothing to
right now.
do. I wouldn't say that. Hartford
I mean,
has.
we're kind of like bad talking Hartford.
We are, and I
Guys, if you
shouldn't.
want to move to Hartford, it's a pretty nice
Yeah,
neighborhood.
buy
You guys
property
could
with us
come.
in Hartford.
Yeah.
No, Hartford is nice, but it's just not a vacation spot.
Not, yeah, not a vacation spot. If
Yeah.
you're looking for somewhere that's quiet, livable, come to Hartford.
Hartford County, at least.
Yep.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's my plan to help me branch out into freedom a little bit. But that's where I see myself within the next 5 years.
Oh, that's great.
Any other questions? Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, no other questions, but like, how's business? That's the only other
How's
question.
business? You
Yes,
always
how's
ask me
business?
how's business.
Yeah, 'cause you need
business
to
is
know how's
going good.
business.
The spring market is kicking up, and I love it because there's more inventory, so that means more potential for my buyers because I'm mostly a buyer's agent.
Uh-huh.
So it's good. I'm having fun doing showings. I got a property under contract yesterday, which I'm very excited about. I'm happy for this buyer because she's a sweetheart. So yeah, business is wonderful.
You said you're a buyer's agent.
Mostly, primarily,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna ask if you just want to work with buyers or do you like
No.
working with sellers as well?
I like working with sellers as well. They're just two completely different things, and you're managing two very different groups.
Because-
And two different stresses. Like I feel like with a buyer, especially if it's a first time buyer, you're doing more education, right? You're informing them every step of the way. Sellers, it can be tricky because sometimes a seller has these expectations, especially when they're hearing all this fluff about how crazy the
how the
market,
market
is
is,
going.
yeah.
So the market is going crazy, but then they get crazier. They're like, I want to sell my property for $600,000,
Yep.
and it's like, ma'am.
You know what's funny is that I had a listing appointment the other day and I
Yeah.
went to the client house and she goes, "Oh, my neighbor house sold for 450,000 and mine is like right down the street and so I'm trying to get 420 for mine because
Yeah.
it doesn't have a pool, but theirs have a pool." But then when I pulled up the pictures of the recently sold property, everything was brand new. It was like a flip
Right,
property.
so that's
new
why it sold for
driveway,
that
new
much.
walkway, new everything, and hers is basically outdated.
Yep.
So I was trying to explain that to her, and she goes, "But oh, it shouldn't have been." And it was like a whole debate. But
Yes.
when I show her the similar properties like to her, she kind of come back because
Yeah.
she's open minded. But
Exactly.
most sellers goes, "Oh, this is my house. You can't tell me what it's
Yes,
worth and stuff
yes.
like that." They're just hell bent. Okay, it's there, we're nowhere,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But what is one thing I learned doing all my research, because I'm a research junkie. I
Yep.
just like to research stuff when I don't know anything. They would go, you gotta list to last if you want to be in
It's
the real
true.
estate game.
That is very true. You said that when we had the dinner. You were like, yeah, in order to like be
consistent you need
consistent
to
and have
list to last
longevity,
because
you do have to have listings. Absolutely.
I've reached out to many coaches and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right? And what's weird is that, like you said, you're a buyer's agent, right?
Yeah.
We do videos targeted to buyers and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I've heard that they say they don't usually market to buyers.
Yeah.
They market to sellers because when they get listing, if the math is correct, they
Then
should
they
get a
can get
buyer
buyer
from
come in
that
from
listing.
it. Yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
So they were like, don't basically spend too much time marketing towards
Yeah.
buyers. Just try to get listings because that's where you do open houses. Maybe 10 persons come by
True.
that's looking to buy. All those 10 could be your buyer leads right there. You don't need to market for them.
That is very true. I feel like for me personally, you do have to have a little bit of a balance too, especially like when you're starting. When I started, I marketed myself to mostly buyers, and it works for me. Like there's never a month where I don't have a good buyer's lead, right? Ever.
That's good.
But I do agree with you. You do need listings. And eventually buyers become listers, and you just need people to sell houses as well to have longevity, especially in this market, because it's tough.
Yeah.
It is competitive. It is competitive. And if you're dealing with buyers who have a limited budget, it can be very difficult to find a property for them.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah.
recently one of my buyers, I mean, I told you this story.
Yeah.
He bought a house way back, I don't know, many years ago.
Yeah.
And he's trying to buy a house right now, but the prices of the house, he
Yeah.
said they're insane. But I'm trying to tell him,
That's what the
when you
market's
bought
at.
it back then, that was this, and this one was actually listed like 20 grand below market
Yeah.
value. And he chose a tantrum at me and just left. So I'm like,
But for some sellers though, like I feel like some of them, we do have to educate them on what
Realistic.
current prices for homes now, especially if they're trying to sell the house and move into a new property, because sometimes sellers feel like, oh, well, why can't I just have a mortgage for $1,500? Like that was in 1998. It is 2005. The interest rates are really difficult. They're high right now. So your mortgage is going to be higher than the property that you're currently paying for. And in some cases, it might be better for the sellers to just stay put in your home. Because who wants to, unless you have the money, who really wants to sell their home and then move into another home and pay $2,500 a mortgage when you were just paying $14,000? Like,
yeah, because most people back then got a mortgage, an interest rate of like 3%. Nobody
Exactly.
wants to sell because
So-
that's the as I would say, what do we call it? What's the word we call it?
challenge?
Challenge, yeah. Like just that's not the word I'm looking for.
Oh,
but
sorry.
That's the
I failed you.
that's a challenge with when I'm trying to market to try to get more listings. They're like, oh, okay, we
Convincing
don't mind selling. We're gonna make a lot of money in equity, but we don't
Where
want to
we
go
live.
pay a 6% mortgage rate when we have a 3% right now. So they're gonna save in the equity when they can sell later. you know?
Yeah. I would
So-
say ultimately between sellers and buyers, as long as we're providing value to our clients, we're always going to be in business. We just have to make sure we're constantly providing value and meaningful education.
Like we said, it's all about the mindset. We got to remember that the real estate market isn't always going to be challenging. There
It's
will be
not.
days we're going to sit on our desk and our phone just going to be ringing. We don't have
Yeah.
to call people.
Yeah.
So better days are on the way, definitely.
Absolutely.
But just right now, like they said, I heard this saying through one of my research. They said, tough market make great agents.
It's true.
Because if you can survive in a tough market,
you can do
survive in any
anything.
market.
It is so true. It is so true. All right. Well, I feel like we've been yapping a lot.
I feel like we have been yapping a
But
lot.
it's been good. The conversation has been flowing. So that's good.
Yeah. I mean, we hijacked the guy's show to talk about us, apparently.
Yes.
So Romano, please don't not post it because Colleen admitted to some. What did Colleen admit to? To being embarrassing in high school. She had braces.
I did not have braces. I have naturally perfect teeth. I've never had braces. Fun fact about me. Anyway, well that that is the end of this show for
The
today.
hijacking.
See you guys later.
Peace out.
Bye.